Hi everyone and welcome to today's live stream. In today's live stream I'm going to be discussing how to play almost any chord. So hopefully the sound is good. If you guys can hear and see me, just let me know that you're there. Let me know that everything's good. There shouldn't be nowhere near as much boom or bassiness this week. I've got a much better mic and a much better studio setup, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. So let me know if you can't hear me, and I'll try and adjust things there, but hopefully you can see the guitar neck in the camera and everything is nice and visible. So just while people are signing in here, I'm probably just going to play a short piece. So the title of today's live stream is How to Play Almost Any Jazz Chord, and we're going to look at playing all these jazz chords by using something called extensions, chord extensions. And if you don't know what these are, or maybe you do, maybe you come in here and you already know what extended chords are, then what I'd like you to do, if you feel like you know what an extended chord is, please type that in the comment section below. So just give me an example of what an extended chord might be, and hopefully I should see that if you do a comment, I should see that in the video here. So if you can think of an example of what an extended chord might be, just leave me a comment to let me know. Okay, so yeah, an extended chord, and that's how we're going to learn to play all these chords. Now, like last week's live stream, I have a PDF which has got all these things on, and hopefully in the link to this video you should be able to see the link to get both of these PDFs that we're going to be using for today's lesson. So let me know if you can get those. Okay, so 2 PDFs, and both of these PDFs in this lesson, it's from my ebook Beginner Jazz Guitar Chords, and if you haven't got that, I've got that listed and linked to in the description below. You can get 50% off this course by using the code Jazz Guitar Deal. Okay, so if you're new to jazz and you want a really structured method on how to begin playing jazz chords, then just go up and pick that book, and that'll help get you started with many of the things that we're going to be discussing in these live streams. All right, so extended chords. Why would you learn to play extended chords when, you know, from last week you know that you can play many chords like that? Well, for example, you could play a 2-5-1 with extended chords and get that type of effect, which is a little bit more colourful. All right, and to give you an example of how extended chords are going to be used, I'm going to play through a jazz standard which has many extensions. All right, so really the aim with how I teach is that if you know the extensions and you've got the tools for the job, then you should be able to do it. Okay, so the tune which I'm going to demonstrate, which has a bunch of extensions in, is an old jazz standard by Victor Young called Stella by Starlight. Now, most melodies, the jazz standards that we learn, like say All the Things You Are, have say like the third in the melody. So that's what you get, say, with Autumn Leaves. That has the third in the melody an awful lot, but Stella by Starlight has extensions in the melody. There still is some more common guide tones there. So anyway, I'm going to shut up and let you get settled in, and I'm going to play a quick rendition through this. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to oh, sorry about that, I've just got a comment there saying about the fretboard to the camera, so hopefully this is a bit clearer. I'll try my best to try and keep the fretboard as much to the camera as what I can, so hopefully you guys can see my fingers. Okay, all right, so here's a bit of Stella by Starlight just while everyone gets settled in. So so that was a bit of Stella by Starlight, and like I said, that tune has a bunch of extensions in. Like for example, if you look at the bridge to that song, the first chord is a G7 sharp 11. All right, then it goes to a C minor 11, then you've got an A flat 7 sharp 11, Lydian dominant sound, and then a regular B flat major. So this is a real workhorse for extensions and things like that. Okay, so I'm just seeing now that a few more people have just joined. So if you have just joined and you wanted to get the PDF, that should be listed and linked to in the description below. Like I said, I have my Beginner Jazz Guitar Chords ebook, 50% off if you get that, and that's got a lot of this material in much more depth than what we're covering here. So pick up your copy if you've not got that already. So let's begin by what's on the PDF. So there's two PDFs there, and I've just gone on extended chords diagrams. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at each of these little shells, and I'm going to teach you how to add some extensions to these chords. All right, so the first type of chord that we're going to be looking at adding extensions to is the major 7th chord. All right, and we're going to start by looking at these two notes, the guide tones, on the middle two strings there. So I've got the B natural, the 9th fret of the D string, and the E natural, which is on the 9th fret of the G string. All right, so that as it stands is a rootless C major 7 voicing. If I put the root on there, then I've got a 3-note major 7th chord. You guys from last week will know that the chord which has the root on the 6th string looks like that. So you take away the root, you get this 3-note chord. You can get rid of the 5th. You've got the 2 notes, and there's your C major 7th chord. All right, so let's have a look at some extensions that we can add to this. So the first one on the PDF there, it says you can have it with the root, then with the 5th. All right, so that's the basic beginner jazz guitar chord. Now the first difference we're going to change to this chord is the 5th. We're going to move the 5th up by 1 fret. Okay, so if we move the 5th on a C major 7th up by 1 fret, you get this chord, which is a C major 7 sharp 5. And of course you can play that with individual fingers like that, but I would recommend, if you can, trying to bow with your ring finger across those 3 chords. Then if you want to add another extension, you can do that as well. So that's quite a nice chord, quite mysterious. It's got kind of a mysterious quality to it. So that's a C major 7 sharp 5. You could think of that as being a C major 7 flat 13 as well. Okay, so yeah, welcome to all those that have just joined. I keep seeing that more people are joining here. So if you are enjoying the lesson and enjoying the live stream, then please drop me a comment, drop me a like, let me know that you guys are here and you can see me and hear me okay. So going beyond a C major 7 sharp 5, the next chord on the PDF is a C major 7 sharp 11. Sounds clipping just a little bit. Okay, yeah, someone just said that the sound is clipping a little bit. Not sure why that is. It could just be the connection. If anybody else has that issue, let me know, but I'll just kind of persevere and hope that it kind of gets a little bit better as we keep on going. So the next extension there is a C major 7 sharp 11, which sounds like that. And again, I use my thumb for the root, but of course if you didn't do that, you could kind of play it a different way and use your middle finger for the root, like so. So the major 7 sharp 11 chord, a beautiful extension to have on any major 7 chord. Really brightens up the standard major 7 chord. So really these are typically used as endings to a tune, because you know, if you're playing something like, you know, Take the A Train, that chord can often stick out a bit too much. But if you use a sharp 11 when you're finishing a song, rather than just playing a C major 7, which can sound a little bit predictable and a little bit boring, you can play a C major 7 sharp 11, and that has a bit more interest to it. So that's something that you can do there. So going beyond that, the next chord on the list is a C major 13th chord, and that looks like this. So this has got a bit more, this doesn't sound quite as spicy as the other chord, shall we say. It's got a bit more, because it's diatonic. So if you think of a C major scale, then obviously that chord is that A note, that extension of the 13th, comes from that. So if anyone knows why is this a C major 7 13, because the A note, you can think of that as also being a 6. So if anyone knows why the A note, why would you class that as being a major 13th and not a 6? If anyone knows the answer to that, then please leave a comment in the section below. Obviously I'll tell you guys the answer to that in just a minute, but if you know why in a C major 7 chord, if you've got an A in the chord, why is that a C major 13 and not a C major 6? If anyone knows the answer to that, leave a comment and I'll give you the answer shortly. So moving beyond that major 13, the next chord we have is a major 9. So for the major 9 chord, hopefully you'll be able to see that is the D note there as well on the 10th fret of the high E string. That gives you the C major 9 chord. So really just to fill this sound out, then I'm going to add the 5th in there as well. So you can always do that. If you've got an extension like the 9th, you can always put the 5th in to add that there. And of course if you want to add the 13th, then you can as well, and that gives you a nice sounding chord like a C6-9. And I think Abraham has just got the answer. I think it was Abraham. It kind of, the person who leaves the comment drops up really quickly and it goes, so I apologize if I got your name wrong, but Abraham has said that the reason this is called a C major 7 13 chord rather than a C6 is because it has the 7th already, right? So you've got 7, 3 and 13. In a 6 chord, you typically get rid of the 7 and add the 6 chord, and that would be a C major 6 chord. All right, the very last chord is the one that I've just accidentally already described. So that's the C6-9 chord. Beautiful chord which you can use. So moving on now. So basically how I would like to remember these guys is that once you've got your 2 extensions here, 7th and 3rd, the alterations to the 5th are on the 2nd string. All right, so you got 5, sharp 5, and then 13, and then your alterations to the root and the 2nd or the 9th are on the high E string. So you've got your C there, move that up, you've got a D, which is the 9th. All right, and obviously on a major 7th chord, you don't really have flat 9s and sharp 9s, at least none that I can think of. In the back of my mind somewhere, something's telling me that there is an obscure example where you've got a flat 9 on a major 7th chord. If anyone knows any examples of that, then please let me know, but I certainly can't think of any off the top of my head. So the typical extension that you get for a major 7th chord is the 9th. So that's the only one you need to be aware of there. All right, so now as we move to the other side of the fingerboard, and this is on the 2nd line of chords, which is down on the PDF, then basically these notes reverse. So here you have 7 and 3. If you flip those around, you have 3, then 7. Okay, so you basically, there's one version, then there's another inversion. All right, hopefully you guys can see the fingerboard okay. Excellent. Okay, so now in this C major 7th chord here, you can first add the 9th. Okay, and by the way, guys, these chords you can play them as rootless chords or chords with the root in. Obviously, if you're playing in a situation where there's a bass player, then you want to keep out of the bass player's way. But if you've got a situation where you're playing these with a singer, you want to add the roots to really give the full colour and application of the chords. Okay, so yeah, C major 9. So really, on this one, they basically reverse, all right? So when you had the inversion up here, all the alterations to the 5th we're on the B string, but down here the alterations to the 9th are on the 2nd string, and the alterations to the 5th are on the high E string. So on the PDF, what we've got is a C major 7, sharp 11, and I have got the 9 in there as well. That D natural is the 9th, so I strum down, and that's like a C. You could, typically say that this is kind of a C major 9 as well, or a C major 9 sharp 11, but because the sharp 11 is the top note of the voicing, it kind of really gives you a sense of sharp 11 more than anything. So I class that as being a sharp 11. The very last chord that I've got here is a C major 13 again, and that's got a 9th in also. Okay, so those are your extensions for the C major 7th chords. So basically what I recommend that you do is that you go through all of these different chords and make sure that you can switch between them at a nice fluent rate. Like, for example, take the chords here and say what you play. But once you playing and switching between them, try and make the mental connection of what they're called, really. So you can go like C major 6, C major 7 sharp 5, C major 7 sharp 11, C major 9 with a 13. If you're doing it down here, C major 9, and then you could say what was the other one, C major 9, C major 13th. Because then if you see a lead sheet, you've already got the skill for the job, right? If you're playing a tune and these chords are written out specifically, then you can find them, and then you've just got access to them. All right. The worst thing you want to be doing is sat there. You've got a lead sheet to a song. It's got a bunch of chords that you don't know. Where obviously, if you've got the chords underneath your fingers as separate devices, then you've got the tools for the job already. All right. So that's what's important to do there. All right. So moving on, probably the most amount of extensions. I'm not even sure if I'm going to cover all of them because it probably will take a while and you might get pretty bored. But they're all there in the PDF for reference. Is a dominant 7 chord. Now, as I begin to talk through these, I'm going to ask you guys another question. So if you know the answer, just drop me a comment. And I have seen a few other questions which I will try and answer at the end. But the question I'm going to ask you guys now is, why is there typically more extensions on a dominant 7th chord than any other chord type? Okay, so we've got major 7 chords, minor 7 chords, and dominant 7 chords. So why do we have all these other extensions on dominant 7 chords? Why do we have flat 13, flat 9? What is the reason for that? Why do we have these on dominant 7 chords, but not on major 7 chords, not on minor 7 chords? If anyone knows why we've got so many extensions on dominant 7 chords, then let me know. I'll be going through the answer for that shortly. So there's a bit of a trivia question to ask you guys. Those of you especially that feel like you already know some of this material. So really, the deal is the same again. So you've got these two different shell voicings here, and yeah, excellent. Steve's already got the answer. He's first on it, and Steve's just said, because they resolve to the 1 chord, right? So if you've got any kind of funny extension, like for example a G7 flat 13 sharp 9, then it wants to resolve. Okay, so if you're going to put these extensions on, then it can resolve. Now, if you have something like a major 7 chord and you put, for example, let's say you put a flat 9 on a major 7 chord, even for jazz, that's sometimes considered too dissonant. So you don't really get many flat 9 chords. I mean, I can't think of any in jazz whatsoever. So really the deal then with dominant 7 chords is you can basically do a similar thing, but all you have to do is change the chord. So the chord, the guide tone voice in here for major 7, B and E, the B, lower it a semitone to B flat. Do the same here, there's E. Try and get this guitar a little bit more in the camera here, just to bear with me 2 seconds. So yeah, so this one here, you've got your major 7 voicing, E and B. You can drop the B down to a B flat. And I'm just going to see if I can adjust the camera slightly so I can get my right hand in the camera a little bit. If you guys can see that, let me know. So the major 7th anyway, so we get that B natural, we're going to drop that down a semitone, and we've got a B flat there as well, so an E and a B flat both right there. Okay, so what you've now got is 2 dominant 7th chords, or 2 shells of dominant 7th chords. Sorry, the second one should be that. 2 tritone intervals. All right, so if we take the standard shell like that, what we can then do is start to add extensions. So you can add the 5th, and then you can do the same thing as what we did with a major 7th chord. So you get sharp 5, 13. So all the alterations to the 5th are on the 2nd string. All of these are on the PDF there, and all the alterations to the 9th and the root are on the high E string. So you get a 9th, flat 9, sharp 9, all on the high E string. Okay, so it's really worth going through all of these slowly just to get an idea of where they are, saying what they are, to get them underneath your fingers. You can do the same thing in 3rd position. Okay, so you can start with a C7 there, there's the 9th on the 2nd string, there's the flat 9, and then there's the sharp 9. Alright, so you've got all 3 of those chords, and then you've got the 5th, sharp 5, 13. Alright, so what I recommend you do to get fluent with any of these extensions that you like the sound of, you get maybe like the 13th chord, move it through the cycle of 4ths. So let's take a dominant 13th chord, start on a C, there's a C13 with the root on the 6th string, move it through the cycle of 4ths to go around to get proficiency with that voicing in all 12 keys. Do it once starting on C, then again starting on B. Kind of run out of frets a bit with that B flat 13, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to kind of convey here, hopefully. So that just means that you've got them all already at your disposal. So say if you're looking and you need some of these chords, there's a bit of 4 and 6, for example, by Wes Montgomery. You'll see that those specific extensions that you need for that tune, it goes C minor 9 to an F7 with a sharp 11, an F7 sharp 11. And if you've got those in all 12 keys already, you're going to have the right tools for the job. All right, so that's why I'm making such a big deal about this 12 keys thing. All right, so let's keep on going then. So the last type of chord that we're going to look at some extensions for is the minor 7th chord. Now, can you guys in the comments, can you maybe let me know some extensions for minor 7th chords? If you can think of any minor 7th chord extensions, let me know. And by the way, generally, if you do have any questions or anything like that about any of this material, feel free to drop me a comment. Even if you're watching this after the actual class, and I will still try to address and reply to the comment either in a future episode or maybe in another live stream. So if you do have any comments, let me know. So minor 7th chord then, we can do the same thing. So we've got a dominant 7th chord right there, and then you can get the E natural, move it to an E flat, and that gives you a minor 7 shell voicing. C dominant 7 right there, get the E natural, move it to an E flat. So you've got 2 different minor 7 chords there. Again, going back to last week, the minor 7 chord looked like this. And then the one with the root on the 5th string looked a little bit different. And of course, you can always use these as free string rhythm guitar chords as well. So you can always get rid of the 5th and play these. I guess Freddie Green style, they sound pretty good. So if you're doing like a 2-5-1 in G, with 3-note chords, it sounds like that. So it's a nice clean sound to add. So the minor 7 chord extensions that we're going to look at, the first one that I've written here on the PDF is a minor 7. We have a minor 7 with a sharp 5 right there, and then following that we have a C minor 9. Alright, so both of those are on the PDF. That minor 9, you can grab it in several different ways. Personally, as you know, I like to use my thumb for the root, index, and then pinky. And that's how I like to grab the C minor 9. Now, when you move the chord with the root on the 5th string, some extensions to that, you can get a minor 9 again. So there's your shell, then the D natural is the 9th. So you've got a C minor 9 there. And then going beyond that, you can get a C minor 11, which sounds pretty cool. And you can also play a 9th in that minor 11th chord as well, which is a really nice colourful voicing. So really, once you use these extensions, you could play 2-5-1, so in B flat, like that, which sounds even nicer. So that's what you could do there. So C minor 9, then the last 2 chords there, the 2 drop 2 chords, which use the same type of thing. So we've got that shell voicing again, a 9th, but this time rather than have the 11th on the top, I've got the 5th on top as well. These are all just slight variations that are good to be aware of, really. And you know, the biggest scheme of this is to really understand and know what's underneath your fingerboard. So if you can see that, you know, okay, that's a G7, and you drop the 7th and it becomes a G major 6, that's giving you the full picture, and that's obviously what's going to be really useful if you're playing a chord melody or something like that. Then you want to be able to have some different alterations to the chords, so you can move your fingers around and get some nice kind of extensions and things there. Alright, so that's the first PDF over and done with. Like I said, if you are just joining this now, there's a link to that PDF in the description below, and you can get that for free there. What I'm going to do now is find the second PDF, and we're going to go over a few chord charts. So really this is assuming that you've got all these chords in all 12 keys. Of course, if you know these chords already, then this is a good MOT test. In the UK, I know Americans don't have this. I'm not sure if Australian people do. I know that I've got an Australian viewer here watching. So an MOT test is something that you can't basically... Sorry, I've just got another question here. I've got to, if I suddenly stop talking, I've got to get the questions when they come on screen, because I don't want to start kind of tapping on the screen or anything like that afterwards. So I'm going to try to catch these questions and store them as I get them. So yeah, on the what I was saying, it's when you in the UK here we have something called an MOT, and basically your car has to pass an MOT to say that it's safe to drive. It's basically something designed by the government to say that your car's, you know, ready and purposed to be driven in a safely manner. And I like to do these kind of tests with some of my students as well. You know, I think that if you're ever kind of a bit sketchy on chords or something like that, these chord charts are good kind of test to make sure that your guitar playing is kind of up to the correct standard, really. So really, you know, these extended chord charts, if you are new, someone has just asked if you're new to beginning, if these chords are new to you, should you pause and come back? Yeah, absolutely. You want to make sure that you have full integrity as to what's going on. So therefore, if any of these chords are new, I would say work them up in all 12 keys and then come back and watch this kind of second part of the video here. Okay, so just get another drink, then we'll talk about the extended chord charts. Alright, so hopefully if you guys have got the PDF, you should see that the first chord chart, example 1, is for autumn leaves. Now, what I would say, and this is kind of a hack that you can do, if you ever see a chord chart that has some chords that you don't know what they are, then you can always strip it down to a basic chord. Like for example, this first line of autumn leaves, the actual chords that are written out, A minor 9, D7, flat 13, G major 7, and C major 9. Now, if you keep these chords as being the 3-note chords, which I said you could, that's not going to clash with any of these extensions. So a simplified way in which you can play these chord charts would be like this. And that's not going to get in anybody's way whatsoever. Now, of course, if you want to add more colour to these chords, that is when you can start looking at some of these extended chords. All right, so the first one is an A minor 9. All right, so that should be here. Okay, there's my A minor, and I'm adding the 9th right there. The chord after is a D7 flat 13, and then the last chord is a G major 7 chord. So that kind of worked because once you start with the A minor 9, the top note was a B natural, then when you move it down a semitone, you get a D7 flat 13, and then the last chord finishes on the 5th, which is a strong chord tone, a G major. So, and by the way, I really would recommend using simpler chords, to begin with, and simpler rhythms to begin with, rather than getting too bogged down with jazz guitar rhythms. I would say to use simpler ones in the beginning. The chord after that is a C major 9. All right, so who can tell me then why this works? So you've got a G major 7, which is right here, and a C major 9, which is there. So if anyone has any ideas or suggestions as to why that works, let me know in the comment section below. That G major 7 to C major 9. I'm going to keep on moving forward beyond that to give you guys time to think. So if anyone has any suggestions, let me know. All right, so the chords which I've written after that, I put F sharp minor 7 flat 5, which is we're going to play that right here. Then the chord afterwards is a B7 flat 13, which is right here. So there's the B7 shell, and then the flat 13 is the G, and then I just put E minor 7 towards the end. Excellent, and it looks like Ozzy has the correct answer. So well done, Ozzy. He's put common notes, which is exactly right. So if we reverse back a little bit to that G major 7 chord, you can see that D natural is the top note, is a note in common. Then when we go to C major 9, that D natural is still there. So a common tone is always good when voice leading between different chords. G major 7, C major 7, C major 9 afterwards. All right, so then F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7 flat 13, E minor 7. I would say just to play that as a 3-note voicing right there, and then the last chord is an E7 sharp 9, the Hendrix chord. So I'm just going to play through these autumn leaves chords, and what I think I'll do is I'll play through them first with the basic 3-note chords. Then afterwards I'll play them with the extensions, so you can hear the effect that these extensions often have. And when I say, like the title says, play almost any jazz chord, that's what I mean, because this is not every single jazz chord, but it covers a lot of ground, these extended chords. Anyway, here we go. So now with the extensions, 1, 2, 3, 4. So hopefully you'll agree that everything has a purpose. So if you're the rhythm guitarist in a big band or whatever, then it might be more applicable that you use version 1, but certainly these extended chords have a bit more colour to them than what the straight 7th chords do. All right, so that's the first example. If you like that example, then please leave a thumbs up. That would be great, just to let me know what you think. Going beyond that, we have the next example, take the A train. Okay, so this is an interesting one, take the A train, because in that actual chord, in the proper chord chart for this, the second chord is actually arguably D7 sharp 11, because when you hear the melody, that A flat against a D flat, a D7 chord is a sharp 11 chord. All right, so really you've got to be careful with that. If you're playing with that at a jam or whatever, and you play a regular D7 chord, if you're too heavy on the fifth, you could get in the way of the melody, really, depending on what you're playing. So it's always a good idea to try and know these songs a little bit as well, obviously in the long term, as it being a long-term goal. So I'll do the same thing with this. All right, I'm going to play through the chord chart as normal, then I'm going to talk about the extensions. Okay, so take the A train with kind of straight up 3-note jazz chords, and I'll play it with a 4/2 bar rhythm, because I'm kind of feeling like playing a bit of Freddie Green rhythm guitar. A few quick questions that people have asked. Someone asked which guitar I'm playing. This is my early 80s Yamaha AE 1200. AE stands for acoustic electric, and it's basically it's kind of similar spec to an L5. It kind of feels a bit like an L5, only it's, I suppose, Yamaha do their own thing, which is why I like them quite a lot. Tommy Tedesco played a guitar like this, and there's a great UK jazz guitarist called Phil Robson that I think used to play these guitars as well. But Borelli is probably the most famous Yamaha player. Borelli, the French gypsy jazz guitar player, great straight ahead player. He plays a guitar just like this, and he also plays with the Yamaha 335 as well, which is the SA 2000, I think it's called. I've got one of those also, so obviously I'm waiting for the Yamaha endorsement deal. And the pick that I'm using, someone was asking about the pick. Well, this is the Elite Specialist plectrum that is a Dunlop. It's just basically a Dunlop plectrum. Hopefully if I hold that to camera, you guys can kind of see that. 10 a penny, 50p, £1 guitar plectrum, 2mm plectrum. So a really standard plectrum, but I like it because it gives a really nice thick sound. I used to use the smaller jazz plectrums for years, and I think they are good for technique, but I think the sound always seems to sound a little bigger to me when you use these bigger plectrums. So there's two questions answered there about gear. So back to this take the A train thing then. I'm going to play that once with the Freddie Green style as basic 3-note chords. Then I'm going to add some extensions afterwards. So okay, so that's the first type of where once you can play through these with just Freddie Green chords. So after that, you can play them with some of these extensions there. So the first chord, C major 9, sounds like this. All right, and if you go to D7 sharp 11, I'm playing this with the root on the 5th string. You can always put a flat 9 on this chord, just to kind of fill out the sound a little bit as well. So you've got C major 9, D flat 7, sharp 11, flat 9. Then we have a D minor 9, G7 flat 13 sharp 9, and then we've got a C major 9. I'm playing this in this inversion this time. So I've got the 9th there, all right, which is not strictly keeping with these extended chords, but it is a C major 9, C, A, D, and G, okay? Then A minor 9, D minor 11, and then a G 13. All right, so this progression sounds like this at tempo. So. Sorry, no charge for mistakes. I'm just going to try it one more time. So. Hopefully you can hear that version with the extensions on just sounds a little bit more luscious, and that's all there is to it. It just the chords just sound a little bit more colourful than straight up minor seventh, major seventh, dominant seventh chords. All right, so I'm just going to get a drink, and then we're going to look at the last example to finish off with. If anyone has any questions that they want me to answer before we finish, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try my best to answer them before the video is finished. All right, so this last example that we're going to be looking at is the jazz standard Misty. I'm sure you guys know Misty and you've played that before. It's a very common jazz standard. So I'll play through these chords. I'll play them with the extensions this time. So the first one, an E flat major 9. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to basically change the chord within the kind of core 2 notes. So say for example, like this one now, E flat major 7, our guide tone thing would be like this. Actually, no, sorry, I'm getting confused. This one, an E flat major 9, I'm just going to add the extension and play that here. So the F in E flat is a 9th, so I'm going to play that right there. And then I'm going to go to B flat minor 11, and then E flat 7 sharp 11. You can play that right there. Regular A major 7, A flat major 7, A flat minor 9, D flat 7 flat 9, and then a regular major 7, C minor 11, F minor 9, B flat 13, and then G minor 9, C 7 flat 9, F minor 7, and the last chord is a B flat 7 flat 13 flat 9. Try saying that one 6 times. Alright, so I'm going to play for it now without talking. So it should sound like this. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how these extensions can be used in a ballad setting where there's a bit more time to kind of flesh out on some of these chords. So like I said, those PDFs are listed and linked in the description below. All this material is from my Beginner Jazz Chords ebook, and if you want a more comprehensive guide of what we're going to be doing, that's also listed and linked to in the description below. And like I said, you can get 50% off that by using the code Jazz Guitar Deal at checkout. So that's just a special offer that I'm doing for these live streams here. So yeah, I recommend that you go and check that out. If you did enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up. That would help me out spreading the word about these videos a little bit. If you have any questions at all, then please feel free to leave a comment. But if not, I'll look forward to seeing you guys at the same time, same place next week. And I hope that you all take care and stay safe. So next week, same time, same place. Hope to see some of you then. Thanks very much.